Hey table tennis junkies, I'm going to be teaching you the fast topspin windshield wiper serve today. This is a good serve that can stand on its own or be a really good changeup for the backspin version of the serve. I've said this in previous videos and I have several tutorials on it, but I really like the windshield wiper serve with backspin on it, and it's become sort of a staple in my game. I use it all the time. But the fast windshield wiper serve with topspin, if you just shoot it out, can win you a lot of points, and it's a real killer serve. And I'm really happy to be showing it to you today. So let's get started. Okay, so the stance on this one is, instead of being facing towards the table, I turn away from the table. This will help me to generate better side spin. And a really important aspect of the stance and using the legs in this is, as I swing, my left foot is in front, and as I'm doing this swing, I'm stepping back and crouching down. And what that's going to do is it's really going to help my body get involved with the stroke, and it'll help get better force on the ball and better spin on the serve. Alright, so the grip on this serve is really important to change so you can generate good wrist movement and spin. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to just rotate it in my hand. So the index finger is more on the side. This is kind of like a similar grip. And I do this for two reasons. The first is because the motion on the serve, there's a lot of side motion this way. And when you rotate it in your hand, it allows you to get better motion with the wrist, and it'll help you generate better spin. And the other reason is because you always want to have the same grip for both the backspin serve and the topspin serve. And for the backspin serve, I rotate it in my hand, and that will allow you to not only get the wrist sideways motion, but it'll also allow you to lay the wrist back, and that'll help you get really good backspin on the serve. So you're not going to be coming underneath it for this one because it's the topspin serve, but you always want to have the same grip. So if you were to have like a shake hands grip for the topspin serve and the rotated grip for the backspin serve, that's a clue for your opponent of what serve is coming. So you always want to have the same grip for both backspin and for topspin. The stroke on this serve is going to have two parts. The first part is forward energy, and the second part is side energy. The forward energy will help generate the speed. The side energy will help generate the side spin, and it'll look something like this. So you'll reach back, you'll go forward into the side. I might reach a little further away from my body to my right, and then as I meet the ball, I'll be generating more side spin. That's fine. I might start a little lower, so then when I meet the ball, it'll be more top spin. The way you approach the ball, it'll differ from player to player, and it's really up to you. It's important to know what that'll do to the ball, though. So the lower you start, the more top spin, probably less speed. The higher you start, more speed, a little less top spin, a little more to your side or to the right will generate more side spin, and it really just, the way you approach the ball, it's up to you, but you basically want to have those two key factors of forward energy and side energy. So something like this. Okay, so for the stroke on this serve, there are two main aspects. There's the speed aspect and the spin aspect. I'll talk about the speed first because it's easier to understand and easier to explain. So what you want to do is, to get better speed, or to get any speed at all, you need to be going forward at contact. So as I'm serving this, I'm going to be starting back, and I'll be going to the side a little bit, but also quite a bit forward on the serve. And the other thing, to get good speed, you want to contact it low. So as I'm serving this, I'll be crouching down, and I'll be contacting the ball pretty low to the table. The more forward energy you have on the stroke, the faster it'll be, and the more sideways energy you have on the stroke, the better side spin, but the serve will be a little bit slower. And you can kind of mix that to your own liking. So with the spin on this serve, you're going to want to generate top spin, and you're going to want to generate side spin. And that's where the grip really comes into play, because you're going to want to come across the ball like this. This is where the windshield wiper name comes from. Because the motion is kind of like a windshield wiper, but you're going to want to come to the side like this. And if you just had a regular shake hands grip, it's going to really restrict that motion. So that's why I like to turn it in my hand, so I can really just come to the side, and it really flows freely on this. To get topspin on this serve, there are two ways that I recommend doing it, and one way that I would just absolutely stay away from. The way that I would stay away from is hitting the top of the ball. It might be instinctive to do that because on most of your rallying shots, you're going to hit the top of the ball to generate topspin. But if you do it on the serve, it's going to be really obvious to your opponent what spin you're putting on it, and it's also going to slow your serve down. So if you're trying to serve fast with topspin and you're hitting the top of the ball, it's just going to move really slowly. Okay, so the first way that I recommend getting topspin on the serve is by starting low, both with your body and with your racket. So As you do this, your stroke is going to come forward and up, and then it's going to kind of fade off to the left, across, and then down. So as you're contacting the ball, you're going to be actually coming up the back of the ball, and that's going to generate topspin. If you actually do this serve, you can generate the backspin by contacting it late with the same stroke. So if you think about it, you're coming up the back, and then you're coming across, as you're coming across, and then you're coming down the side. So if you hit the ball late, you can have the same stroke coming down the back, and it'll actually generate backspin. So it's a really good way to disguise the serve, and you can generate either backspin or topspin with the exact same stroke, and that's really effective. One downside of serving the topspin this way is that it's hard to generate good pace on the ball. So generally when I'm doing the topspin with this method, it's when I'm serving the windshield wiper short, and I mix the topspin and the backspin short, but I don't usually do this topspin if I'm serving fast. The second way that I recommend doing topspin on this serve is hitting more on the back of the ball and going through it and forward. You're not going to generate nearly as much topspin on this serve, but that's okay because you're mostly worried about the side spin and the pace, and the topspin is kind of just a bonus. And if they push it and it's a little bit of topspin, you're probably going to win the point. If they push it and it's a lot of topspin, you're still going to win the point. So a little bit of topspin and a lot of topspin will have a very similar effect, and it's easier to do the fast windshield wiper if you do it this way. So what I'm doing is, instead of coming up the back of the ball, I'm going more forward and through as I come across. I personally like to go up on the ball if I'm serving short because it's much harder to get that good pace on the ball, and it's actually easier to serve it short if you're just kind of grazing it up. And if I'm trying to serve fast, I'm probably going more forward on it because you won't get as much topspin, but you'll get much better pace on the ball. That's how I like to serve the topspins, but if you want to mix the two, maybe come up a little bit, maybe go forward a little bit, whatever fits your game the best is really how you should do it because that's how it's going to be the most effective for you. I'll demonstrate the stroke now so you can see it. Notice here how I'm really getting low, I'm really using my legs as I swing on this serve. See how I'm really coming across the ball and going forward? This will help generate the speed and the spin. Here it is at a few different angles. Okay, so how do I prepare for the next shot after doing this serve? Well, I need to be a little bit careful because the windshield wiper serve has a ton of side spin on it. So when my opponent returns it, that side spin kind of sticks to the ball and it can cause it to kind of move weird and bounce funny. So I'm really watching the ball closely for the third ball attack. The second thing I look for is because of that side spin, it's also going to be pulling into my backhand. So I'll be watching for that, and I'll try to turn the corner and use my forehand for the third ball attack. Because the serve is fast topspin, the ball is going to come back fast with topspin, and it'll probably be bounding forward towards me. So I'll need to account for that, and what I'll do is I'll step back, maybe just like a half a step. That'll give me a little bit extra space and room, and I'll be looking to rally immediately after the serve. How would I return this serve if someone did it to me? Well, the ball is coming fast at me, it has a lot of side spin, and I'm not going to have much time to react. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be shortening my stroke. I'll be watching the ball very closely and watching that movement because this ball kind of slides. And if it comes into my backhand, I'd probably want to open my wrist up this way, and then I'd be going forward on it like this. If the ball came into my forehand, I would probably just try to drive through it and with kind of a closed angle to counter that side spin. Okay, let's recap. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this serve can be very effective as a standalone serve or as a change-up serve. And I really like the backspin version of this serve, and I do that one most of the time, and then I throw the topspin fast out to kind of keep my opponents off guard and kind of keep them guessing and to change things up. And you kind of need to have both for either of them to be effective, because if you only just serve the backspin one or only serve the topspin fast or any, it's not going to be all that effective. You kind of need to have both to make it effective. For the serve, I recommend changing the grip to that C-Miller grip. This will help you get much better wrist motion and much better side spin, and it'll also help you to disguise it with the backspin serve. Don't be afraid to really swing hard on this serve. When you're swinging hard, you'll generate much better side spin, much better topspin, and much better speed. And what kind of makes this serve unique is all of the side spin on it. So if you're not swinging hard, it's going to be tough to generate a lot of side spin, and that's really what's going to make this serve effective. So don't hold back. To get the topspin on this serve, the best ways to do it are either by hitting it on the upward motion of the stroke or by going forward on the stroke. What I don't recommend is getting topspin by hitting the top of the ball, because it's going to slow the serve down and it's going to be really obvious to your opponent of what's going on. The last thing I recommend on this is to use your body. This will help you to generate better spin, better speed, and it'll help you to keep the ball lower. That's all for this week's video, but I'd like to leave you with a question. So this serve is pretty uncommon at high levels, but there are several world-class players who regularly use the windshield wiper serves. So my question to you is, can you name any of them? There's a lot of content in this video, so if you have any questions about it at all, then put them in the comments and I'll get back to you. And if you found this video helpful for your game, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more weekly content. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week.